This is camera setup number 1. The f-stop is set to f11, and I think this is good exposure. This is camera setup number 1. The f-stop is set to f16, and I think this is underexposed. Especially on the right side of the building, it just seems that we lose a lot of the detail because of how dark it is, and a lighter exposure would work better for this image. This is camera setup number 1. The f-stop is set to f8, and I think this is overexposed. The left side of the building just seems very distracting and bright compared to the rest of it, and just overall, I think a lower exposure would be better. This is camera setup number 2. The f-stop is set to f11, and I think this is a good exposure. This is camera setup number 2. The f-stop is set to f16, and I think this is underexposed. Because of how dark it is, it makes it's misleading with what kind of time of day it is, and also it just makes a lot of the shadows under the tree look a little bit too dark. This is camera setup number 2. The f-stop is set to f8. I think this is overexposed, especially because of the light coming off of the subject's shirt and his skin. Everything just seems a little bit too bright and is very just unpleasing to the eye. This is camera setup number 3. The f-stop is set to f5.6, and I think this is good exposure. Alright, this is camera setup number 3. The f-stop is at f8, and I think that this is underexposed. The whole picture seems very dark, and it just seems like there's big shadows cast on both subjects. Brighter exposure would probably help. This is camera setup number 3. The f-stop is set to 4, and I think this is overexposed. It just seems very bright on the close-up subject's top right side of his head, and also the other subject just seems a little bit too bright for the background. This is camera setup number 4. The f-stop is set to f8, and I think this is a good exposure. Alright, Zach.
And now we just need to open the yeah, I got one. No, duh. Oh, so we got, well, who are we getting? One. No, I think it's the same subject, right? Fine. So where are you going to go?
This is camera setup number 4. The f-stop is set to f5.6, and I think this is...
Like a lot of people do it.